What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Old Volks TV. We've been working on our neighbor Terry's bug on his motor anyways lately, and he's been ordering parts like crazy. All this stuff finally came in. This is like the second huge batch of parts. We've got a Sidewinder muffler from Tiger over at A1 out in California. This was sent off, and this was ceramic coated in a nice satin black. It's gonna look really, really good. We got our gaskets for that CB Performance Magnaspark 2 kit with the coil and the big billet distributor and the clamp and all that stuff. We got some K&N filters to replace the ones that I lent him for the time being. Didn't even run the car yet. So we're just gonna put the K&N ones on there. They're pre-oiled, ready to go. We got Andrig's super cool package, the ultimate cooling package. We got the fan, we got the flaps. That's going to go in that new shroud. We got this transmission from Udo that's going to be going in the car. It's got a bunch of JC parts on it, a bunch of heavy duty internals. We'll get into that later when we go to put that in. But it's also going to get a stiffy Kafer bar from Kevin over at Cool Rides Customs. And we're going to do the Mendiola flop stop up here, the mid mount also. So the motor, as you remember, it's all fancy. It's painted white. It's beautiful. It's really nice. I didn't really like these red plug wires, and he didn't really like the red plug wires. So new plug wires, 8.5 millimeter, super awesome CB plug wires going on there. We're going to do the ignition system today. We're going to probably do the exhaust later because I don't want it to get scratched. I want to do that like last. We got to pull this fan shroud off to put Andrig's fan and his flaps in there. You guys have seen me do that like a million times, so we'll probably just glance over that one real quick. We got a clutch coming in, pressure plate. We got to put that on too. We got to redo the oil cooler. Tons of stuff on this thing, which was like almost ready to go in the car motor. And now we're going to pull it all apart again. Try again. So, this whole pile of parts pretty soon is going to be on this motor and in the car and out of the way. Maybe we'll bring the car here and work on it. Till then, let's get started on these tins. Oh, also, I got to put these goofy aluminum tins that came with this motor back when it was like a sandrail motor, because these are the Superflow tins. I did some research, and this isn't going to work. It doesn't even fit with that header anyway. So I'm going to paint these white and put these back on and get rid of all my fancy tins underneath. But this will go, back in that spot when we take the shroud off to put the fan in there. So one more thing, we got to do. I just got to paint these, and we'll slap those on and we'll get all that put together. So let's go ahead and get that ignition set up, taken off, and put the new one on there. Shouldn't take too long. There, this should be pretty straightforward. Putting in the distributor, the coil, spark plug wires, it's pretty easy stuff. I guess we start with getting the old stuff off. Now if you take this one off, this was a good running motor, so we know that the timing everything is correct on this. Pretty good. If you pull the little nut off the stud back here behind and pull the whole clamp and everything out, the timing won't change on that distributor. So if something happens with the other one, you can always just drop this one in, make sure it's seated in there real nice, tighten the back bolt down, and drive away. So that's what we're going to do today. We got a new clamp anyways, so whenever possible, I like to pull the clamp off with the distributor just to keep it timed for that motor. And we'll throw this in his roadside kit, and this should that should keep it somewhat safe for later. So got a 13 millimeter back here. Oop, don't lose that. And there's usually a washer on there. And then we give that a jiggle. There we go. And we don't need these either. All right, there we go. So that's still a good Protronics distributor. Nothing wrong with that. Next we got that coil, which we put on with the rivet nuts before we knew what the plan was here. All right, so that's off. That's it. That was pretty easy, I guess, right? Putting the new stuff in, that's just as easy. We'll start with this coil. It's a little bit different than your regular coil. Differently shaped. And it mounts pretty much the same though. At least they thought about it when they made it. They made it with these brackets, which allow you to, you know, bolt that right in the same spot. Let's fast time get these things on there, and then we'll come back and bolt it up. There we go. Got that bracket on there. It's just two screws or 2 bolts with nuts. Pretty easy, goes on there. Your connections are not marked as far as I can tell on here. According to the instructions, you have to pay very, very close attention to this. Top one is negative, bottom one is positive, but check your paperwork first. Make sure. Negative and, you see that? There you go. Negative and positive. If you hook this thing up backwards, you will 100% just destroy that distributor in like 2 seconds. Not even. It'll take less than a second. Pop! It's done. So when we hook up, we have to make sure that we hook it up negative and positive. There's only 2 wires, but if you get it wrong, you're totally screwed and you gotta buy a whole new system. So let's pay attention to that. This is gonna go right there. Just like, we're gonna use our same, oops, that's not right. We're gonna use our same stainless bolts that I have in that kit. There's enough in there to do this if this is something that you'd like to do. Try this without scratching the freshly painted and clear coated tins. I repainted that shroud because it had a couple scratches on it I didn't like, so I went ahead and repainted it, re-clear coated it. Now it looks good. And I changed out the tins, these head tins, because they just weren't working for me. Now they're better. They got the right Superflow tins on there, so they fit a lot better. This one doesn't fit right. I think we're gonna have to get another one, and it has the holes for the preheat tubes, which we don't even need. So I'm gonna see what I can do about that. Get that one fixed up. But that's it. Coil's on. Now we got the clamp. This is the CB Performance. This all came as a kit, and I will share the link below. I had Terry order this. It comes with a stud for the clamp, but I don't know if we need it. I think that's long enough to get the nut on there. Yeah, that's good enough. So we're not going to use that. You may need that, but I don't. We're not going to put that on super tight because we got to get the distributor in there. And it has this little, the clamp is a Allen instead of a 10. And instead of being by the belt, it's on the opposite side, which is pretty nice. Pretty nice. All right, and then we got this. Boy, that is nice, huh? Nice billet distributor. I always take a little oil from the old dipstick trick and just put that on that O-ring and that shaft to kind of grease it up a little bit, get it to go in there. You don't want it to get stuck or bind. There we go. You can change the curve on these, and you can change the maximum amount of revs. I'll show you in a second. There's a bunch of springs and backstops in the kit. We're not going to mess with that right now. Just want to kind of turn this until it drops. You see that? That dropped in there. Those little teeth pop in. They only go into the gear one way. You know, now we can, this is how you would adjust the timing. And the way they say to do it, which is super weird, there's not a mark. There's gonna be a mark. But you basically put that on and you rotate, well, good luck. Rotate the motor until the distributor points to number 1, to the number 1 post, and then it should be at top dead center. We're gonna find out. We are gonna find out. This thing's got ridiculous compression. Okay, now we're at top dead center. Okay, and it's sort of pointing right? So there's pointing at number 1. This would be number 1. And this motor is not 180 degrees off, as far as I know. From when I took the other one off, it wasn't. So that should be number 1. And when you put the cap on, it's pointing roughly at number 1. So that is 0 degrees. And then do with my, so to get this thing to fire up for initial timing, I like to go, come on now, I like to go to 10. So we should be able to just line up the center of that, you know, with number 1. Ooh. Okay. There we go. So if we get this and get the screws in their little holes and then pull that up slowly, the center of that is on number 1. So we're 10 degrees static. That should be okay to start it. We're probably going to end up somewhere like 7 after when we actually time it, which we'll do once we get the motor going, which we'll do once we get the get that exhaust on there. And again, I'm not going to change the springs or the backstop on this for now, because it seems like right out of the factory they're pretty good. Okay, that's nice and tight. We got lucky. This is the same as the Allen for the tin screws that I use. It's like someone thought of that on purpose. All right, you don't have to go super duper tight. See, that's secure. So that's good. Now we got to do our, well, the connection here. We can do that. This is a 2-wire hookup. Red for positive, black for negative. And you remember, I said the negative was on the top. You know, our thing is kind of pointing like this. So we got negative here and we got positive here. Negative to the outside, I guess. There we go. All right, plug wires. These are crazy 8.2 millimeters. Nice and thick, suppressed, I guess. I don't know why they're so thick. All right, so we got, these ones are gonna be our 1 and 2. And they got the different type of cap that pop on like a I think it's called a HEI, high energy something or other. And then they have this big sort of umbrella down here. This actually will go into the tin and that'll seal the air. Cross our fingers and hope that these fit. Yeah, they do. Get those tucked in there. Put that one on the wrong one. Number 1. Number 2. Boy, that's a satisfying click. There it goes. 1, 2. Number 3. There we go. Boy, that is a snug fit. You can kind of see, I'll give you a close-up of that. And then the coil wire, you kind of got to make it up yourself. It's pretty easy to do. Obviously goes there. When you figure out your length, give yourself a little bit extra. Don't make it super tight. Alright, so you got to cut it until you get the end to look like the factory. We'll look at this one. Look like the factory end there. This is the one that we cut off. Don't even need that anymore. You got your outer wrap. There's like a mesh, and then you got a silicone inner, and then you've got your graphite electrode wire, I guess. This is the side that goes on the distributor. This is the side that goes on the coil. You got to lubricate this boot and you got to slide it on there, and that's a real pain in the ass getting that thing, because this is much thicker, because they don't want it to move and they don't want it to, you know, pop out. But once you get that on there and you take your end, this is the little brass end that they give you. You basically fold that over gently without breaking it. And then you slide that on. See there, you gotta capture that electrode in between. And then you pinch it. There we go. And then you don't want this to be super duper closed like what I just did, because that's gonna fit inside that coil. All right, well, that's gonna be it for this week. So, hit the links, check the friends, get you a shirt. It's back to school still. You can still get some shirts the end of summer. We got the hoodies up there. You can get something ahead of time for when the cold weather does eventually finally get here. Maybe it's going to come. I don't know. We got all kinds of great stuff on there. I think there's toothbrushes and phone covers and coffee mugs. I'll go nuts. Get all the old Volks TV gear you want. And then, hit that subscribe button. Get me in the comments. I'll put the links to all this stuff down below, just like I do. And then, thanks for watching.